Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I would like to direct my questions to to Attorney Camora of the Commission on Audit, and I would like to request also the Secretariat to flash on the screen the copy or copies of the acknowledgement receipt to start with my questions. Ms. Camora, yung nakikita po natin dito sa screen ay dalawang acknowledgement receipts. Ano po? So, pwede mo ba banggitin dito sa unang acknowledgement receipt kung anong petsa ang nakalagay dito na kung saan ito po ay ina-acknowledge yung na nakatanggap ng nagkakahalagang 150,000 for the payment of reward. Open and close parenthesis, medicines. Anong petsa po yung nakalagay dyan?
Mr. Chair, hindi ko masyadong mabasa. Para siyang, hindi ko sure kung November or December 17, 2022.
So hindi mo, pwede ba, Secretariat, pwede ba i-zoom natin itong unang acknowledgement receipt? Ayan. So I guess it starts with the letter N.
Yes, Mr.
And
Chair.
ends with the letter R.
R, opo.
So, probably what month is that?
It's probably November 27.
November
2020, November 27, 2022.
November 27, 2022. So, let's move on the next acknowledgement receipt. Ito naman ay nagsasabi that this is to acknowledge receipt of the amount of 155,000 pesos for the payment of purchased supplies. Pwede mo ba banggitin sa committee ito anong petsa ang nakalagay dyan sa acknowledgement receipt?
12 December 22.
12 December 22. So it presupposes that this is December 12 of 2022, year 2022. Tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ngayon, pwede mo ba banggitin muli dito sa committee ito, ano po ang period covered ng mga confidential funds na nirelease sa Office of the Vice President?
Yung sa fourth quarter ng 2022 po.
Fourth quarter of 2022 na kung saan ano po yung mga petsa ng utilization ng confidential funds?
December 21 to 31, 2022 po.
At yung mga ibang petsa na sumunod dito sa confidential funds that was released on the last quarter of year 2022?
That's it po. December 21 to 31, 2022.
Yes. Ano pa yung mga sumunod na petsa after year 2022?
Yung 2023 po.
Yes.
February 6 to March 29, that is for the first quarter, and April 25 to June 30 for the second quarter. Tas July 14 to September 30 ng third quarter.
So, malinaw, Mr. Chair, na ang pinakaunang confidential funds na nirelease sa Office of the Vice President ay may petsa na December 20 of 2022. Tama ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And ibig sabihin, walang confidential funds ang Office of the Vice President sa petsa na Nobyembre 27 taong 2022. Tama po ba yun?
Wala pa po, Mr. Chair.
Wala pa. Pati na rin doon sa petsa na December 12 of 2022. Tama ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, ibig sabihin nito, Attorney Camora, imposible na ang nakasulat diyan sa dalawang acknowledgement receipt na may binigay raw ang Office of the Vice President galing sa confidential funds noong November 27 at December 12 of 2022. Hindi ho ba?
Kung galing po sa na-cash advance, hindi po yan galing sa cash na advanced nung December 21 po.
21. Okay. So, imposible, no? na
Yes, Mr. Chair.
yung cheque dated December 20, 2022 at na yung cash ng December 21 at yung utilization in fact December 21 to December 31. So imposible na meron tayong acknowledgement receipt na ang petsa ay November 27 at December 12 of 2022.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, kung nandito ka po ba nung last November 5, 2024 hearing?
Opo yata, Mr. Chair.
Yes, and in fact,
Before
you were...
this,
Yes, before this.
before last hearing po with the people pa from the OVP.
Alright. So, noong nakaraang November 5, 2024 hearing, na-establish na yung mga acknowledgement receipts na dated 2023 pero sinubmit para sa December 2022. Natatandaan mo ba yon?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And kung alam po ninyo, ilan ang mga acknowledgement receipts na dated 2023 na sinubmit para sa confidential funds for the last quarter of 2022?
Hindi ko na maalala, Mr. Chair, kasi kayo po yata yung nagbigay ng data.
Actually, it was not me. Actually, if I'm not mistaken,
I mean,
it was
the committee
the
po.
Honorable Rog Gutierrez.
Opo.
So, around 150 plus acknowledgement receipts. Hindi ho ba? Kung matatandaan ho ninyo.
153?
150 plus.
Opo, parang
Acknowledgement
153 for 158.
58, to be exact. Can you please confirm with your records kung ilan po na acknowledgement receipts?
158.
158 to be exact, correct?
Opo.
So, in other words, ito pong mga acknowledgement receipts are another example of ARs na in-issue outside of the period covered by confidential funds. Tama ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Again, ano ho ba ang mali dito? Yung mga acknowledgement receipts or yung source of fund?
Yung acknowledgement receipt po.
Yung acknowledgement receipts bearing those dates that will not conform with the period that was covered by the confidential funds, correct?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
So, sa palagay po ba ninyo, Attorney Camora, maaari ba natin sabihin na ito pong 158 na mga acknowledgement receipts, sa tingin nyo po ba ito ay due to typographical error?
Mr. Chair, ang binigay nila pong dahilan sa compliance nila is inadvertence po.
Inadvertence meaning pwedeng isa sa mga
nagkamali.
rason
Opo,
ay due
nagkamali.
to typographical errors.
Yes,
Tama.
Mr. Chair. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ngayon, after the acknowledgement receipts with questionable 2023 dates na brought up last hearing, can you please confirm if they were part of the notice of disallowance for the amount of 73.28 million?
Mr. Chair, parang hindi na po siya umabot sa notice of disallowance. Parang nasa notice of suspension po siya.
But they are part of that notice of suspension?
Meron po yata kaming observation na ganun, sir.
So, ibig sabihin, can we state that due to the questionable acknowledgement receipts that was discovered last hearing, it appears that there should be additional 17.6 million that should be disallowed. Anyway, these are matters left for the Commission on Audit to look into. Tama ho?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Would you like to enlighten us about this issue? Do you have something in your hand?
Meron po kasi yung mga pinoint out na kasi may mga na-disallow na po kami and then may mga na-point out during the hearing na questionable acknowledgement receipts. So, tinignan po namin kung ano tong mga to. Kung nakasama na ba siya sa disallowance or not. So, if hindi pa nakasama sa disallowance, pwede po pong mag-issue ng supplemental.
All right. Anyway, Mr. Chair, I would like to manifest that of the total amount covered by those acknowledgement receipts with questionable dates, which is totaling of 26.32 million, there's an overlap with the acknowledgement receipts disallowed under the notice of disallowance. So, may mga natitira pa po na 17.6 million which does not overlap. And in fact, this is the additional amount which should be disallowed by COA. Tama ho ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And with that, Mr. Chair, I would like to end my questions by moving that this questionable, dubious, spurious acknowledgement receipts be referred to the Philippine Statistics Authority to verify if the names enumerated therein really exist. I so move, Mr. Chair. Just to repeat my motion, Mr. Chair, I would like to move that this dubious, spurious, and highly irregular acknowledgement receipts be referred to the Philippine Statistics Authority or the PSA to verify the names enumerated therein if these persons really exist. I so move, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion to refer the dubious acknowledgement receipt to the PSA. Is there any second to the motion?
Second.
Duly seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried.
Secondly, Mr. Chair, I would like to move also that the acknowledgement receipts be referred to the National Bureau of Investigation and the Philippine National Police for them to assist us in conducting a handwriting or signature examinations to verify whether the recipients of these confidential funds are real or not, with Miss Mary Grace Piatos as the first priority. I so move, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion to refer acknowledgement receipt to the National Bureau of Immigration.
NPM.
NBI, National Bureau of
Investigation.
Investigation.
National Bureau of Investigation. Is there any second to the motion? Duly seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried.
That would be all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair would like to recognize
Chairman,
the Honorable... Yes, Congressman
just
Paduano.
short, admin matters, Mr. Chairman.
But before I recognize Congressman Paduano, the chair would like to recognize the Honorable Ernesto M. Juniso Jr. from the 1st District of Manila and Honorable Lianda Bolilla, Deputy Majority Leader from 4th District of Batangas. Yun pa ba?
Hindi na ako magtatanong.
Yes, the chair would like to recognize
Thank you,
Congressman
Mr. Chairman.
Paduano.
Admin matters na po, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, previously, I moved to issue a subpoena to the SECOM to the CCTV video footages of the land bank, both branches. With that, Mr. Chairman, since the land bank explained to us that the existence of such video is only good for 90 days, so Mr. Chairman, I move to withdraw such motion, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion to withdraw the previous motion of Congressman Paduano. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Next, the chair would like to recognize the next interpellator, the Honorable Romy Acop. With the indulgence of Congressman Romy Acop, the chair would like to recognize Congressman Zia Alonto Adjong.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Chairman Akop. Mine is just the procedural / yung admin processes po within the Office of the Vice President, because as I was listening to the explanation of Attorney Lopez, compartmentalized daw yung kanilang trabaho. Thus, may mga disconnect and probably miscommunication at hindi pagkakaintindihan. That's why we have trouble understanding really what's going on in terms of the utilization of the confidential funds. And I'd like to direct my question, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Tenido. Mr. Tenido, you are the head of the Administrative Chief of the Administrative Officer po kayo, no? Bureau sa ano na, sa Budget Division, hindi ho
That's
ba?
correct, Mr. Chair.
And you were here last committee hearing.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And you are also in charge of not only even the regular funds, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. You said earlier, yung regular funds ba at saka yung confidential funds, you also prepare for that?
During budget proposal, yes, Mr. Chair.
So you know which one is the regular funds and which one is the confidential?
Actually, in my understanding, sir, both the confidential expense is within the budget of the OVP. So I see it as there is no distinction between regular fund and confidential fund.
Yeah, because there's a letter signed by the Vice President naming you as parang the contact person on matters relating to fundings, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Hindi lang dun sa confidential funds, but even the regular funds, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so you were here last hearing, is it correct?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
And that you mentioned when you were asked that you were requested to request DBM for the release of the confidential funds.
I prepared the draft, Mr. Chair, of the 4 items to be requested.
And who requested you to prepare for the draft of the request for the release of the confidential
I
funds?
got the instruction from the management, Mr. Chair.
Can you be more specific?
The Office of the Chief of Staff and the Assistant Chief of Staff.
Which, you mean to say the Office of Attorney Lopez?
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Chair.
So who instructed you to prepare for the what do you call that, for the plan? Is that part of the physical plan na sinasabi nila that you need
The
to?
physical and financial
Yes,
plan.
yes. Who
During-
instructed you to prepare for that? Which specific person? Kasi hindi medyo malabo po yung kanina yung kwento. Which specific person under the Office of the Chief of Staff instructed you to prepare for the request of the confidential funds to be released?
The instruction was from the Office of the Chief of Staff.
I know.
the,
Yeah, but which specific person?
COS Attorney Lopez.
Attorney Lopez instructed you to prepare for the request for the release of the confidential funds.
Just the request at that time, sir, the request,
Siyang nagsabi sa'yo, exactly.
including all other items, Mr. Chair.
What other items?
The augmentation for the additional funds for the medical assistance, and then for the additional personnel, sir, PS plantilla.
Yeah, but these are the regular funds, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. May I ask Attorney Lopez, ma'am? By the way, thank you very much for attending this committee hearing, and I hope whoever is your relative in the United States, I hope that person recovers soon. No? Let's to ask you, have you narinig naman po yung sinabi ni Mr. Tenido, no? Na coming from you instructed him to prepare for the request so that the confidential funds would be released, no? Is that correct? Did I hear him correctly? Did you do that?
I confirm that, Your Honor. It was actually, the output is a letter addressed to the Secretary of the Department of Budget and Management. It was a request we made that was actually approved and recommended, that was given recommended approval by the DBM and was released by the Office of the President.
So you
That
instructed
request.
him just to be sinabihan niyo po siya na gumawa na po siya, mag-prepare po siya kung ano man ipaprepare ng dokumento para i-request po sa Department of Budget and Management na ma-release po yung confidential funds. Tama po ba yun?
Hindi po ma-release, Your Honor, mag-request.
Yes,
Among
mag-request.
other things.
Yes, mag-request and then for the request for the release of the confidential funds. Is it correct?
Not release, Your Honor. Our request
Yes?
is only for request for that budget alongside with all the other items that was
Exactly,
mentioned
among others.
earlier.
Di ba? Tama po ba yun? Tama
Request
po yun.
for, Your Honor, it could either be disapproved or approved.
Yeah, I
But
know,
we
but
requested.
yeah, but that's beside the point. The point is that kasi kanina po gusto kong intindihin because you said earlier po, Attorney Lopez, if I heard you correctly, you have nothing to do with confidential funds. So I presume wala talaga kasi there's a specific person tasked to do the request you know, for the planning, etc. And that's why I ask Mr. Tenido, sino yung kinokontak nyo when it comes to the request to DBM? Kasi ang sinabi po dito sa letter is kay Mr. Tenido, yung magiging point person po ng DBM, contact person, hindi ho ba? So that's why I'm asking now, Mr. Tenido, because I want to compartmentalize, as you said, no? But now the answer is that you, under the office of the Chief of Staff, instructed him to contact DBM, no? Among other things, for the release of the confidential funds. So are you now saying still maintain your position that you have nothing to do whatsoever with the confidential funds?
Your Honor, Mr.
Gusto ko lang
Chair.
po maintindihan na, Mr. Attorney Lopez.
As mentioned earlier by Mr. Tenido, it forms part of the budget. So it is, and because it is part of the budget of the Office of the Vice President, and as the USEC and Chief of Staff, I signed off and made that instruction, Your Honor.
Yeah, but can you help me understand in which parameters should we say that you will no longer part of anything about confidential funds? Kasi gusto ko lang po maintindihan yun because the way I understood it based on the questions kanina is you have nothing to do with the confidential funds and you cannot speak anything about confidential funds. You are not competent enough to answer any questions in relation to confidential funds. And yet, sa iyo po nanggagaling yung instruction pagdating po doon sa pag-contact ni Mr. Tenido sa DBM, among other things, not just the regular funding but even the confidential fund. Can you further explain it to me, Mr. Chair?
Okay. Your Honor, Mr. Chair, as mentioned earlier, compartmentalized. I am not privy to the disbursement, utilization, and the liquidation of the confidential funds. But as it forms part of the budget, and it was a legitimate budget request, I was part of that request, Your Honor.
Mr. Tenido, gusto ko lang matanong, who do you coordinate, for example, in terms of the utilization of the regular funds, for example?
The utilization. Usually,
Do
sir,
you, yes, yes, please.
usually the process po is what we do is to obligate the transaction.
Okay.
So when we do the obligation, doon po namin nalalaman kung cash advance ba yan, reimbursement, or payment dahil may purchase order. So that is the time that when we capture na po yung transaction and then we will record it na po as
So
part of the
which
transaction.
office in your department do you closely coordinate when it comes to this utilization, this disbursement, etc.?
Actually, sir, lahat. Kasi lahat naman po ng offices may
Okay, let me be
transaction.
more specific. Which particular head of division of office do you coordinate? Regular funds lang to, ha?
Yes po. For example, sir, for the medical assistance, I closely coordinate with the head of the public assistance division. That is for the medical and burial assistance. And then for the like pagbabago bags, that is under the care of the special projects division. And then for the relief items or relief goods, I coordinate or I inquire always with the Disaster Operations Center.
Does the office of the Chief of Staff do have a say on this?
During the process of procurement, there's none, sir.
Okay. Now, what about the confidential funds? Which specific person or head of your agency do you report to?
As
or
to
coordinate?
confidential funds, sir, I received the obligation from the Office of the Vice President because Office of the VP proper because she signs the documents, sir, as the head of the agency.
So there's no middleman, for example, or there's no person tasked to coordinate with you. It's directly to the office of the Vice President herself.
There are there are admin clerks that responsible for the routing or transmittal of documents.
I know, but I think you know what where I'm driving at, no? Sino yung in charge? Kasi I want to understand kung sino ba talaga yung in charge doon kasi according to Attorney Lopez, she has nothing to do with the utilization and everything in relation to yung confidential fund. Wag natin sabihin na walang may alam, not even the...
It's from the Office of the VP, sir.
Yeah, but which particular person are we talking here?
Well, under the office of the VP, there are the office of the Chief of Staff and then the office of Miss Gina Acosta.
Ms. Gina, so sino ba talaga ang specific na person? Do you report or do you coordinate with Ms. Acosta or do you talk with Attorney Lopez?
No,
I'm talking now not only the request but the actual releases and
it
the
would be reasonable to
obligation.
say that is from the office of Miss Gina Acosta because she is the special disbursing officer.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'd like to go back, Mr. Chair, to Attorney Lopez po. Attorney, kanina po na-bring up po yung issue ng sulat ninyo. Apo, na-bring kanina po ni Deputy Speaker JJ Suarez. And basically, marami pong rason na na-cite po dito sa sulat na ito, no? Asking COA to comply, and you have stated several reasons why COA should not comply with the subpoena request, subpoena dosis tecum by the House, no? By the committee. Among those reasons, Mr. Chair, is that you explicitly said in the letter, among other things, that there is no congressional power to expose for the sake of exposure. I underline that because I want to ask you, Mr. Chair, since you're here, Mr. Chair, and I assume that every word, every sentence, every paragraph, every phrase reflected in this letter, you believed with conviction that COA should not comply with the request or the subpoena powers of the House of Representatives. I'm just curious, Attorney Lopez, since you're already here, and earlier I thank you for your presence. Do you still maintain this position, Mr. Chair, Attorney Lopez? Do you still maintain the position that COA should not comply with the requests of the House of Representatives and the subpoena order by this committee to acquire certain documents from the Commission on Audit?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. The position of the Office of the Vice President when we wrote that letter was to request COA to not yet give the said documents because there is an audit investigation ongoing. We feel that, we at the Office of the Vice President feel that it is yet too early to release documents because nothing has been made final. That was really the purpose of that request, Your Honor.
So you do, but my question is, do you still stick to your position? All the reasons and the arguments you have stated here, cited, some I guess you have cited the legal basis for COA not to comply. Do you still maintain that?
Yes, Your Honor. We stand by it.
You s-
Actually,
Do you stand by it? Still, up to now. So you
yes.
mean to say,
uh,
here you mentioned, and I guess this is, I guess, para po sa akin, ito po yung position ninyo. The subpoena was not issued in aid of legislation. It thus exceeds the legislative power of inquiry. Are you aware, Mr. Chair, Attorney Lopez, since you're a lawyer, that the Constitution grants the House of Representatives, the Congress for that matter, both the lower house and the Senate, the power to exercise, not only to create laws or introduce laws, but to exercise oversight functions, meaning to hold inquiry in aid of legislation, Mr. Chair. Are you aware of that, and do you believe that? That's an exclusive power that is exercised by Congress.
We respect that, actually, Your Honor. We recognize, as I mentioned earlier when this was asked, this letter by no means seeks to undermine the power of Congress to investigate or conduct inquiries in aid of legislation. But we feel that at that time, on the end of the Office of the Vice President, because there's still an ongoing audit investigation, we feel that it was not the right time to present or release such documents because nothing is yet final. That is our position. But it does not, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, seek to undermine the power of Congress. That is not the intention, which is why we also recognize the power of the Commission on Audit on all things involving audit. So we requested them. But it is still up, of course, to the Commission on Audit whether to grant a request or not. It was simply a statement of our position.
I'm not, Mr. Chair, I'm not here to challenge your personal belief on matters, but I'm just trying to test because your assertion, one of your assertion here is that the subpoena was not issued in aid of legislation and thus exceeds the legislative power of query. Do you think this committee is exceeding its power granted to it by the Constitution? That's one of your assertions. I don't wanna challenge your position on this. I just want you to clarify to me.
Because early on, Your Honor, when the request was made, there was no pending legislation on this matter. There was no draft law or bill that was attached for that requested item to be released.
Are you aware? Yes. Okay. Are you aware, Mr. Chair? Are you aware, Mr. Chair, that there are laws existing and there are laws that have to be amended, and that's one of the reason why we're holding or exercising the House of Representatives exercises its power. In fact, it's not just a power; it's an obligation. It's a responsibility.
Your Honor,
Wait, let me finish, Attorney. I'm sorry. Sorry po. To exercise its power, oversight power, to review laws. The General Appropriations Bill or Act is a law. Everything that is specified under the GAA of 2022, 2023, and 2024, these are all laws. And what we're discussing here, Mr. Chair, are funds and budget given to each agency precisely because they're granted by the power and the effect of a law. That's why they're using these funds, no? And in particular, the Office of the Vice President, the use of the confidential funds. That confidential funds will not be available to the Office of the Vice President had Congress did not enact these laws. So, I'm asking you again, do you still maintain your position that what we are doing here exceeds the power that is granted to us by the Constitution in the exercise of our oversight function?
Your Honor, I stand by the letter that was the position of the Office of the Vice President, and as stated in our position and in our letter to the Commission on Audit.
Okay, so do you still maintain your assertion that this inquiry that we're having right now exceeds the power that is granted to us by the Constitution? Do you still maintain that position?
Your Honor, I think I cannot answer that because that is really actually.
But this is one of your assertions,
I know,
Attorney
that is
Lopez.
our assertion, Your Honor. But
What do
that
you
is a
mean?
legal issue as to whether the Congress has the power or not. But our position, Your Honor, as we have stated from the very beginning, is that we feel that because there is still an ongoing audit and nothing is final, we feel that it would be too early to release such information on the end of the Commission on Audit. That is basically what we are trying to request from the Commission on Audit.
When you say our position, does that mean who is sino yung our?
The position of the Office of the Vice President, Your Honor, which the agency that is undergoing the audit investigation.
Anyway, Mr. Chair, I will no longer labor on this issue. I just want to give time for Attorney Lopez to maybe enlighten us kung bakit according to her ay nag-i-exceed ang committee na ito sa power na ginrant sa atin ng Constitution, and yet sinasabi naman po niya na she is recognizing the power of the House. to exercise yung oversight function. I just don't get any clear answers po. Pasensya na po, Attorney Lopez, sa inyo. From the very start that one of my colleagues here started asking question, wala ho akong nakuhang klaro na sagot po sa inyo. Pasensya na po. Ganun lang po yung interpretation ko sa lahat po na naging kasagutan ninyo. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you po, Attorney Lopez, for your candid answers.
Thank you.
Salamat, salamat.
Chairman, can I
Yes, before I recognize Congressman Paduano, the chair would like to recognize the Honorable Julian Jambaronda from the Lone District of Iloilo City, our Deputy Majority Leader. Asan? Yes, the chair would like to recognize Congressman Paduano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anyway, Attorney Lopez, just to inform you, alam mo naman to separation of powers, power of Congress for inquiry in aid legislation, and question of the subject matter with regards to COA in relation to the confidential fund. Sabi mo kasi hindi pa tapos. But just to inform you, there's a lot of investigation in my committee and ordering COA to have a fraud audit. Pending all those COA audit report. That's why this committee and this Congress has the power. Visited and asked for inquiry in aid of legislation, especially in the case of the confidential fund, in which that is a law from the GAA. Alam mo naman yan, di ba?
Yes.
Walang budget na confidential fund without the GAA. Which is a law. Tama? Kaya nga po, just to inform you, na in Congress, well, in fact, ang dami na po. Special audit, fraud audit. Ginagawa po ng COA yan by the order of this Congress. I hope you get my point, Attorney.
Yes, I do, Congressman.
Thank you, Mr.
Salamat.
Chairman.
My questions would have centered on the existence of satellite offices of the Office of the Vice President. Unfortunately, COA submitted the data and information regarding the satellite offices of the OVP just last night. Tama po.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, I did not have time to look into these documents kasi gabi na kayo nag-submit it. Mr. Chair, be that as it may, I will not ask questions about that. But I would like to make first a manifestation. From the previous hearings, we have established two things as regards the documentary pieces of evidence of payments for confidential funds. Una, ang mga irregularidad sa mga impormasyon na nakasaad sa mga acknowledgement receipts. At ikalawa, ang kakulungan sa mga kinakailangang impormasyon para matiyak kung tama ba ang paggamit ng confidential funds na ito. Attorney Lopez, do you believe that public officers occupy a public trust?
Yes, Your Honor, that is enshrined in the Constitution.
Section 1, Article 11 of the Constitution. Tama?
Yes.
Yes. Now, would you also agree with me that the impassivity of the public officers and employees, yes or no? Yes or no?
Your Honor, may I be allowed to...
Yes or no? I am asking if you believe it or not.
Your Honor,
You do not believe it?
no, in the sense that it is not a betrayal of public trust, exactly, Your Honor. Because the decision to attend the hearing, Your Honor, is a personal one.
No, because you are compelled if we issue a subpoena. It's not personal. Would you agree with that also?
Yes, Your Honor, because if it's a subpoena, it becomes coercive.
Yes.
But in the end, respectfully, if it is an invitation, there is also a right on the end of the invitee to decline.
I agree. But the end of
Yes,
that is that we can issue a subpoena
Yes. that
in
is
order
correct.
to force you to attend these hearings. Tama.
Yes, Your Honor.
O in that case, if you are forced to attend hearings, and you do not attend, would that not also constitute a betrayal of public trust?
Uh,
Following your logic,
Your Honor,
pakisagot lang po na yes or no. Yung katanungan ko po, yes or no eh. There's no need for any explanation unless I ask for one.
it could be, Your Honor, yes.
Thank you. Would you agree also with me that public officers must uphold public interest?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And part and parcel of the duties and responsibilities of public officers is to give due regard to the lawful processes of a co-equal branch of government.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And the impassivity of the public officers and employees to attend the congressional inquiries of the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability gives rise to a betrayal of public trust, considering that their continued absence interfere with the actions and mandate of this committee, just like your two people, the special dispersing officers, in the persons of Madam Gina Acosta and Madam Sunshine Fajarda. Would you agree with that also?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank
It is
you.
a possibility, yes.
And therefore, being the boss, you are also obliged to see to it that they perform this duty.
Yes, Your Honor, I
And
hear
therefore, we expect na pagsabihan mo sila
Apo.
na umattend dito sa hearing na ito. That's part of your duty.
that. Respectfully, Your Honor, that was my commitment earlier, that I will endeavor to bring them to the next hearing.
Thank you. And I think you will also believe that public officers are sworn to uphold the Constitution. Tama?
Yes, Your Honor.
And public officers have sworn to uphold the Constitution and have violated their oath by preventing Congress from lawfully exercising its own mandate under Section 21, Article 6 of the Constitution to conduct inquiries in aid of legislation. Would you agree with that also?
Sir, respectfully, may you please repeat that particular question lang, this one, and the phrase that you refer to?
Yes. Public officers are sworn to uphold the Constitution.
Yes.
Yes. Public officers have sworn to uphold the Constitution and would have violated their oath by preventing Congress from lawfully exercising its mandate under Section 21, Article 6 of the Constitution to conduct inquiries in aid of legislation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
If you, Your Honor, may I seek to qualify my answer as regards the last question?
Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Your Honor,
please.
Sa
Mr. Chair.
akin, Mr. Chairman.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Okay. In this case, Your Honor, preventing or aggressive defiance, Your Honor, that might constitute as such. But if there is a valid reason on the end of the person, that might be considered. But again, aggressive and continued defiance without justification or reason, Your Honor, that may be taken as such.
Congressman Acop.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Chair. But you will also believe that the queries of members of the committee remain and will remain unanswered if the responsible public officers or employees fail to elucidate on the subject issues by their continued absence. And the conspicuous absence of these public officers and employees of the Office of the Vice President causes immediate or threatened injury to the powers of this committee granted under the Constitution. Would you agree with that also?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, dahil po sa ginagawa ng mga tauhan under Attorney Lopez and under the Office of the Vice President, I believe that we can file administrative cases against the non-attending public officers and employees of the OVP before the Office of the Ombudsman. That is my point of view and my stand, Mr. Chair. Kasi they can be charged for misconduct and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service as a cause of action. Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I proceed?
Please continue.
Thank you. Clarificatory questions. Attorney Lopez, you are the Chief of Staff and Undersecretary under the Office of the Vice President. As such, you are the number 2 insofar as the OVP is concerned.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And all those people under the Office of the President,
Vice President.
Vice President, kayo po ang tinitingnan na mataas maliban kay Vice President.
Yes, after the Vice President.
Yes. Being the Chief of Staff, kami po, ako, galing sa militar, galing sa pulis, yung mga iba, may mga opisina, meron silang mga Chief of Staff. And everybody of us will say na yung Chief of Staff ang nakakaalam lahat ng operations na kanilang opisina. Would you agree with that?
In my experience, Your Honor, that does not hold true. So I cannot agree to that.
How long have you
statement.
been in the government service?
More than 10 years, Your Honor.
10 years. Ako, more than 4 decades. At ang pagkaalam ko, yung Chief of Staff is the most knowledgeable among the staff of a head of office.
In most cases, Your Honor, yes. That
So
is
you're the
correct.
only exception?
No, Your Honor, it is only in this matter that I am not privy to.
You're not privy on what matter?
The matter of confidential funds in the...
You're lying, Madam Attorney, simply because the letters that you wrote to COA would belie your statement. Kasi alam mo eh, if you read intently the contents of your letters, alam mo. How can you explain yung AOM?
Respectfully, Your Honor, Mr.
Kayo
Chair,
po ang nakapirma doon.
ako po
And
yung...
would you say na pumirma ka na hindi mo alam yung nandun? Are you trying to tell me that, being a lawyer?
Your Honor, the documents, the attachments, as regards the answer to the AOM was presented and prepared by Mr. Ortonio. It is not incumbent upon me to double-check or to review such documents, Your Honor. My role in the
Pero
Office of the
ikaw ang
Vice...
pumirma.
Office of the
Di
Vice...
ba, sa bilang abogado, ang sabi nga sa law school, di ba, sa inyo, bago mo pirmahan yung iyong death warrant, basahin mo muna.
Opo.
Di ba?
Yes, Your Honor. I simply checked, Your Honor, the form. Ano po yung attachments
Ikaw naman,
and the
attorney.
explanation. Your Honor, respectfully, Mr. Chair, I have also mentioned this earlier when in the question of Congressman Adjong, Congressman Zia, I mentioned that the matter of disbursement, utilization of the confidential fund, that is the matter that I am not really privy to. But in the matter of explaining, for example, issuing external communications to a government agency such as the Commission on Audit, as the highest official in the OVP, Your Honor, I sign off on all the documents. That is one of my role in
And what is the significance of your signature?
that it has been
Di ba
reviewed.
dapat dun is, alam mo yung bagay na yun?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Ikaw naman, oh. Kasi hindi ka pwedeng, attorney, hindi ka pwedeng pipirma sa isang kwan na hindi mo babasahin. That is your training as a lawyer. You cannot depart from that. Yes.
Respectfully, Mr. Chair, as mentioned earlier, I signed it as a matter of course as the head of the agency for that external communication. Subject, of course, to the attachments that were included and the explanations made, Your Honor.
I think you better change that, madam. Dahil one day you might be signing your death warrant when you do not read it. Di ba posible po yun?
Yun po, I can only speak for that, my experience, Your Honor. That was exactly what happened in that letter.
Thank you. How long have you been working with Mr. Ortonio and Madam Acosta?
Mr. Ortonio was a colleague also in the city government, Your Honor, of Davao.
How about Madam Acosta?
Also one of the employees of the local government unit.
So matagal na kayo magkasama. And how long would that be?
More than 10 years, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Oh. Eh, doon sa 10 years na yon, mas mataas ba sila sa iyo o mas mataas ka pa rin sa kanila?
Mr. Ortonio was a city department head also, Your Honor, which had the same rank as me. But Miss Gina Acosta is one of the employees.
But you were the
senior.
city administrator then.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then, you know everybody. You know what is going on in the local government unit that you belong to, right?
I know a lot of, not everything, Your Honor.
It is expected of the city administrator to know the operations of the local government unit, especially the branches or the offices under that unit.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Yes. Alam ko naman na maaaring hindi mo alam lahat, but it is expected of you, being the city administrator, alam mo dapat ang mga yon. Right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now, doon sa confidential fund, do you know of its existence in your office? Eh kasi kanina, dinideny mo parang wala kang kaalam-alam eh. But do you know the existence of a confidential fund in your office?
Yes, Your Honor, it is part of our budget.
Hindi. Yung 2022, did you know that?
2022, Your Honor?
Yes, yung
Yes.
125.
Yes.
Yes, you know it. How did you come to know about it?
Your Honor, it was part of the recommendation, the request that we made to the Department of Budget and Management.
Sino po ang gumawa ng sulat na yun?
The letter was signed by the head of agency, Your Honor.
So it's the head of agency ang gumawa. Hindi mo sinasagot yung tanong ko. Yung tanong ko is, if you understood it properly, sino po ang gumawa ng sulat na yun? Yun ang tanong ko eh.
Attorney Lopez,
Are you trying to tell me that
please be responsive to the question.
Are you trying to tell me that the Vice President was the one who prepared that letter?
No, Your Honor. We drafted the letter for consideration of the Vice President. We included therein all the other requests that we needed from the Department of Budget and Management. It is
So
a request.
you know something about confidential funds.
The request, Your Honor, yes.
Ano naman yun? The request of the confidential fund. Wow. Yung confidential fund per se, hindi mo alam?
Your Honor, as mentioned earlier in the interpellation of Mr. Zia Diong, only the disbursement, utilization, these are matters that I am not privy to. But in the request for the budget that included the confidential fund, we drafted that letter, Your Honor.
Kasi in your letter to COA na pinirmahan ninyo ni Mr. Ortonio, detalyado eh. It pertains to yung liquidation reports insofar as the confidential funds are concerned. And yet you're telling us you do not know anything about its utilization, but you can answer the AOMs of COA. Specific na po yun, yung mga observations ng COA. Now, kaya I cannot believe that you do not know anything about its disbursement
Your
or
Honor.
its liquidation. Kasi nandito eh. Ang nakalagay dito, if may read, we respond to its finding in the AOM in seriatim. Kalagay, the submitted liquidation reports with their supporting documents. You're already speaking of liquidation reports. And still you deny you do not know?
Your Honor,
Mapikon ako iha eh.
respectfully, Your Honor, I am not, I wouldn't want that, Your Honor. The letter was prepared, as mentioned earlier, by Mr. Ortonio, and he presented the attachments to the same. As a matter of course, Your Honor, I took a look at it, looked at the attachments, and then saw it correct in form. And because all external communications have to be signed by the highest official in the Office of the Vice President, I signed off. It was a matter of course, Your Honor, on my end. In the same manner...
So, when you say matter of course, Madam, you said it's ministerial on your part?
Your Honor, if I may, Mr. Chair, even in the regular audit, when we have AOMs, these are...
Ma'am, you have to be reminded that you are under oath.
Yes, I know that. Your Honor, even for the matter of regular audit, these items are prepared by the finance cluster. And on my end, Your Honor, I review the attachments and the explanations, and then I sign off on it also. So it is really, that is, Sir Akop, what I meant by it's a matter of course. It is something that I sign off on, provided in form, it's already the proper attachments and the explanations are there. But as to whether how it was liquidated and how it was disbursed, I have no direct knowledge, Your Honor. It is simply a paper review on my end.
I'm amazed, Attorney Lopez. Kasi ang tingin ko sa mga abogado meticulous sila, binabasa. Pero on your part, working as the chief of staff, hindi ka naging meticulous. Anyway, I'll go to another topic. I will refer to your letter to the Honorable Gamaliel Cordoba, 21 August 2024. I think you already saw this letter and, shall we say, state to the committee that you signed. This signature is yours, right?
Your Honor.
Now, when you signed this letter, kayo po ang gumawa?
Your Honor, this matter was...
Pakisagot lang po yung tanong ko. Kayo po ang gumawa?
Hindi po, Your
Hindi.
Honor.
So, sino po ang gumawa nito?
It was drafted by Mr. Lemuel Ortonio.
Is Mr. Lemuel Ortonio a lawyer?
No, Your Honor, he's
No.
not.
And you read this letter?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you agreed with all the contents of this letter?
That was our position, Your Honor. It was a shared...
No.
Yes.
You answer my
Yes.
question. Now, may I ask, can you explain to me that when we investigate the use of confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education, you are of the position that the subject subpoena violates the constitutional principle of separation of powers? Could you please educate me? How how did we violate the principle of separation of powers? Nandito po sa sulat po ninyo, pinirmahan ninyo.
Your Honor, may I read the letter in
Yes.
toto? Yes. For the record, it says, the principle of separation of powers is violated when one branch of government unduly encroaches in the domain of another. Jurisprudence provides that there are only two ways to violate the subject principle, namely, by impermissible interference with another department's performance and by assumption of another department's functions. Here, it is clear that the subpoena was not issued in aid of legislation and thus exceeds the legislative power of inquiry, and its issuance impermissibly interferes with the exclusive functions of the Commission on Audit and infringes upon the independence of the Commission. And then, first, Congress has no power to participate or otherwise take part in any audit process. Obtaining any information in a pending audit clearly does not serve a legislative purpose of drafting or remedying legislation. Second, the audit decisions which the committee seeks to obtain are in cases still pending adjudication and therefore not final, not conclusive, and cannot be used as a fair, accurate, or intelligent basis for legislation. Third, COA has already published its annual audit reports for fiscal year 2022 and 2023, which are specifically intended to aid the executive and legislative departments in crafting responsive laws and regulations. Fourth, the only purpose mentioned is to expose to the public the use of confidential funds by the offices headed by the Vice President and purportedly whether such use follow the guidelines. During the subject hearing, Representative Castro stated, since hindi po pwedeng sabihin dito yung findings, yung report o yung anumang observations ng COA, ang mga taong bayan po interesado dito sa confidential funds at kung paano ito ginamit, kung ito po ba ay sumunod dun sa guidelines. Also, as reported in the media, Representative Castro has been known to say that the Vice President has not yet satisfactorily explained the OVP spending of confidential funds in 2022. She added that the VP still has yet to account how she spent the said funds in 2023 and that she is not off the hook yet. End of quote. This is not related to any legislative purpose. There is no congressional power to expose for the sake of exposure. The determination of whether the utilization of the funds complied with audit guidelines falls within the exclusive mandate of the Commission on Audit. It cannot be overemphasized that COA has the exclusive power, authority, and duty to examine, audit, and settle all accounts pertaining to the revenue and receipts of, and expenditures or uses of funds and property. Constitutional framers envision the COA as a dynamic, effective, efficient, and independent watchdog of the government, and for this reason conferred upon it broad and extensive powers. Allowing a committee of the House of Representatives to subpoena audit decisions pertaining to an ongoing audit will only hamper the COA's performance of its duties. On the other hand, the determination as to the legality of confidential funds solely falls within the exclusive mandate of the judiciary. Clearly, therefore, Congress cannot infringe upon constitutional mandates vested upon other branches of the government. Item 2. The enforcement of the subject subpoena
No. Let's stop there. So,
Okay.
yung tanong ko, please explain to me why the hearing conducted by this committee would violate the separation of powers. Yun po yung katanungan ko eh.
Opo. Your Honor,
You said COA is an independent body. Nandito nga sila, tinatanong namin eh. That is why I asked whether Mr. Ortonio is a lawyer or not. Believe nga ako eh. I'm amazed, Madam Attorney. Attorney ka, naniniwala ka dito sa sinabi ng isang hindi attorney.
Your Honor,
Di ba?
respectfully, this is the position of the agency.
Hindi ko tinatanong eh.
Oo.
Tinatanong ko lang eh.
Then-
I am amazed, Madam Attorney, na naniniwala ka sa legal stance ng isang hindi attorney. Kaya, please answer my question. Where did we violate the separation of powers by conducting this legislative inquiry?
Your Honor,
Explain to me.
yes, there is currently an ongoing audit in the Office of the Vice President as regards the confidential funds. The power to conduct audit or investigate belongs to the Commission on Audit.
No argument about that.
Yes. That is why, Your Honor, we feel it is our position that given that the audit is still ongoing, it is not final, it is not yet conclusive, the release of said documents or information infringes on the right of the Commission on Audit to conduct a full-scale investigation given that it is still pending. So that is our position, Your Honor. It is simply that. It is a request that we made to the Commission on Audit. It does not in any way, Your Honor, mean that we do not recognize the power of the Congress to conduct in aid of legislation. It's just the timing, because the audit is still being undertaken and is not final and still not conclusive, Your Honor.
Para sa iba pang karagdagang mga balita at impormasyon, ay huwag po nating kalimutang mag-like, share at comment sa video na ito, at huwag po rin nating kalimutang mag-subscribe to continue supporting us. Maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood, at naway tangkilikin po ninyo ang aming YouTube channel.